ladies and gentlemen, and this is a little impromptu session, and I'm so excited because I've got four of my favorite people in the entire world alongside me: Nate Hayes, Zaidi, Peter Della, Penna, and the infamous Brian Walters. He's gonna laugh at that because I shouted him out. But we thought, you know what, with all the craziness that is Major League Cricket and the excitement that is Major League Cricket, it just left us wanting more, and that cricket itch hasn't quite been scratched since the conclusion of 2025 season. And so we thought, you know what could be really cool? Some player rankings in the form of looking ahead to that 2027 T20 World Cup.
No,
over
26, bro.
26, yeah.
Is it 26? That's 26.
Don't push it out a year. I can't wait that long. I can't last that
People
long.
want Hassan Khan in February, not 2027.
Well, this is why this is my favorite people in the entire world, because they
Yeah,
never
exactly.
say anything wrong. They're my fact checkers all in one. The 2026 T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka. And we thought, why not go ahead and see if we can find ourselves 15 players apiece plus 2 reserves and just crack on with that.
Yeah.
We thought, yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I think it's going to be super exciting because this is fresh, right? We've all just had a look at pretty much everyone who is a serious contender in our domestic pool for World Cup squad inclusion, right? And it's all very fresh, and they're all competing at the same time against all the same top players in the world. And we really got a good look at them. And we're saying, okay, look, if the tournament were picked based on who's eligible in February, but if we were to pick it right now, who it would be, right? And I think it's a great time to have that conversation. So I'm psyched we could pull this together. So,
Yeah.
Rock and roll, guys. Has everyone got their squads?
Let's do it.
I'm so pumped.
Find out here in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I'm gonna share a little, spreadsheet action business. Hold on. And here we go. We've got everybody. I'm gonna make this a little larger. Everyone has a column. We gave each of you a column. That's how generous we're feeling. And all right, Peter Della Penna is up first. Peter, so we said we've got people either at 11 or 15, 2 traveling reserves, right?
I can't click on this. You might have to click and add this stuff for me. I don't know.
Okay, Peter, I will always. It has been my ambition in life to be PDP's scribe. So today it's happening.
Long hours there.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. But yeah, anyone with the
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Here we go. All right. I'm sharing with you again as well. Oh, I just showed the whole world.
That's
email
okay.
address.
That's
Okay,
all right.
so-
My email address is there for the world to see. I have nothing to hide.
Yeah. Oops. I just violated some sort of like COPA law or something. Like, not that you're a minor, but whatever. Okay. Peter, who you got, bro?
Yes, sir. Well, let me just open this up quick, this spreadsheet. I have got, nothing dramatic at the start for me. I've got Patel and Sai Mukamala opening the batting. So for me, I took an approach of what's the existing squad and who stood out, if anything, to knock out the incumbents.
Okay.
And so I'm a strong believer in the incumbent keeps their spot unless somebody does something overwhelming to knock them out.
Okay.
And so you look at recent USA squads in the T20 format, and you go back to the T20 World Cup in 2024. I think Monank, obviously what he did in MLC this year speaks for itself. And then Sai didn't do anything overwhelming in MLC. He got some good starts, but I don't see anybody do anything that would merit knocking him out from his place at the top of the order. He's been outstanding in the opening role for USA, and I think he's definitely worthy of keeping that spot. And then at 3, I've got Andre Schaus.
Sure.
Again, similar. He was fantastic in MLC last year, fantastic at the T20 World Cup. Did modestly, I would say, in MLC, but again, nothing that I saw from anybody else that would knock him out of that role. Now, 4, I've got Sanjay Krishnamurti.
Mhm.
Now, I was thinking about this, and you've got Monank and Andres in particular are very similar players. I think of Monank and Andres House as like a conventional oven. They take a little while to heat up. They need to at least 10 or 15 balls to get going.
Yeah.
Whereas Sanjay Krishnamurti, he's a microwave.
Yeah.
You put him in, you press the start button, boom, he's hot right away.
He can get going.
And so at number 4, of all the options available in the U.S., I think Sanjay Krishnamurti is the best fit there. He's demonstrated in MLC and for USA that he can come in with instant offense. He's the Vinnie Johnson. Vinnie Johnson was the microwave in the NBA back in the 80s. Sanjay Krishnamurti is the microwave for USA. I'm
in the house.
I'm glad somebody's appreciating that.
Impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Aaman. Thank you. I'm glad at least 2 people out there are giving a thumbs up for that. 5, I've got Milan Kumar. Again, he rode the bench mostly in MLC, but for what he's done for USA, I cannot leave Milan out of the squad. He's got the off-spin option in addition to his middle order batting. 6, Shubham Ranjani. For me, what he's done, not just this year, but you guys know, having followed him for the last 3-4 years on the domestic scene, he's been outstanding. And one thing that stood out to me this year in MLC, his fitness dramatically improved. When I first saw him playing for Seattle Thunderbolts back 3-4 years ago, he was somebody who definitely enjoyed having an extra meal, and he's somebody who's spent a lot of time in the gym, you can tell. And it reminds me in some ways of Gajanath Singh. Gajanath Singh was similarly, when he first came to the U.S. scene, his fitness was lackluster, and he took drastic strides to improve it. And I see a lot of that kind of similar approach to Shubham Ranjani, who's improved his fitness dramatically and what he's done as a middle order finisher. That's a role that in USA, I always make a comparison to Tim Royalen. They're so hard to find. You know, Andre Russells don't grow on trees. USA, the only real one that stands out in my mind over the years as being a 6-7 finisher in T20 cricket is Tim Royalen. And Shubham Ranjani, the way he was finishing matches alongside Donovan Ferreira in MLC, he's been doing that for 3-4 years on the domestic scene. So I would have him in there at 6. Then at 7, Hassan Khan, if he's eligible, which we think he is.
Yep.
In time for the World Cup, for a couple reasons. One, you'll notice the first 6 I've got, they're all right-handed. Hassan Khan, he's left-handed. So no, he's not.
Doesn't he bat? He bats right.
He bowls left. All right. So
you've got 7 righties.
I'm just making up fake news. That's straight out of the New York Times right there. So Hassan Khan, anyway, right-handed, left-handed, ambidextrous. If he uses his feet, whatever he uses, he's incredible. So I'd have him at 7, and then 8, an actual left-hander, Harmeet Singh.
Harmeet Singh, there we go.
Again, somebody who, based on what he's done for USA, not just MLC in isolation, yes, and primarily in MLC, he's been a bowler, but for USA, he's been more of an all-rounder. Things he's done, I think of, when I pick a squad, I'm looking for match winners, and what sticks out to me is thinking back to that knock he had against Bangladesh in Prairie View. And, that's hard to replicate, finding somebody who's capable of doing that. So again, I haven't seen anybody do anything recently that would knock him out of that kind of middle order, lower order finishing role at 8, and as a left arm spinner in tandem with Hassan Khan. Then at 9, I've got Ian Holland. Yeah. Now, I was crying out for him to be in the T20 World Cup squad in 2024. There are a lot of things happening as to why that didn't occur, politically and otherwise. But I think back to Antigua 2021. He was USA's best player in that tournament in the regional qualifier. And since he's not been appearing for USA, there's been a glaring hole, and it's that kind of change of pace bowler. His stock ball is the slower ball, and you need somebody who's clever and has got variations, and he demonstrated that beautifully in MLC this year, and it gave a reminder of what USA's been missing in that kind of medium pace all rounder slot. And he's somebody you can float up and down the order, depending on the situation. He's Aaman mentioned it in the broadcast. He's open for USA. He's been up and down the order. He opens county cricket.
County cricket for Leicestershire, right?
Yeah, he can do all sorts of things in this lineup. He could potentially go up higher depending on the situation, but you've got so much more batting. And I think it's important to have Harmeet Singh come in as a left-hander, no lower than 8. 10, Saurabh Netravalkar. Again,
Promotion.
Didn't set MLC on fire, but based on his body of work, there's no way you can leave him out. And then 10, I would have Ali Khan. I'm a big believer in match winners, and an incumbent. Somebody's got to do something special to knock him out if he's available. I know he didn't have a great MLC, but again, you think back to that Bangladesh series last year, that death spell he had to win a Player of the Match award. There's very few players in associate cricket that have that capability as a fast bowler who can change a match like that. And if he's healthy, I think I want a match winner. I want Ali Khan in my 11. So he would be my first choice to round out the pace bowling unit. And then in my reserves, I've got Shadley, Van Skalvik. As somebody who's an all-rounder, I would have him as cover basically for Ian Holland. I think if like players, I would have a Holland starting ahead of Shadley. I know Shadley was a strong wicket taker, led the Knight Riders, and he's done well for USA, obviously. And he offers a left-hand option batting-wise, but as a leg-for-leg player, I just think Ian Holland is the first choice option in that role, so I'd have Shadley in there as a reserve. And depending on team balance, you might slot him in certain situations. Next, I've got Rishal Agarkar. I think he did enough in MLC, and again, somebody who Nate said it before we started recording inside the select room. I think back to the mentality of selectors and what goes into picking a squad, which I learned from being around those guys a decade ago. And for me, what stands out about Rishal, a unique skill set in a way similar to Ali Khan or similar to Saurabh Netravalkar. What's unique about them? Saurabh's got the left arm angle. Ali's got the Yorkers and the raw pace. Rishal, his unique skill set is the variations in slower balls. I mean, what he did to Glenn Maxwell there was quite special, and he was doing that throughout. And what makes his slower ball effective? He's got pace to begin with. I mean, he was bowling mid to high 80s. I don't know what was being shown on TV, but in the stadium, he was registering 85, 86, 87 on the speed gun. And so that's in itself isn't special, but when you've got a slower ball coming in at 75 off of an 85, 86 stock ball, that's what made him so effective. And his ability to know the situations and be able to execute it, that's part B. That was mighty impressive for somebody who's as young as he is. He's only 22, just turned 22. And I would have him in there ahead of a lot of the others. There's a lot of pace options in the U.S. Some guys who are in the World Cup squad in 2024 are guys in the U.S. setup or in the current quote-unquote U.S. team. I think Rishal has a unique selling point over and above all those other guys. That's why I would have him in the team. I wouldn't have him in the starting 11, but I would have him in the reserves for sure. And if Ali Khan or somebody else goes down injured, I think Rishal is perfectly capable of stepping inside. That's why I would have him in the 15. And then my other two slots on the batting side and the spin side, Nash Kenjige, I don't see how you could have a team without him. Again, I don't think he's done anything to lose his spot in the squad. If you ask me who would be my first choice spinner head to head, Hassan Khan or Nash, you've got to go with Hassan. But Nash, he's the forgotten man from the Pakistan game last year. Everybody remembers Netravalkar and Manak at the man of the match award, but Nash took 3 wickets in that game.
Yep.
And he's somebody who's an outstanding fielder who offers so many things in his arsenal. So I would have him as the reserve spinner of the squad. And there's every opportunity where you could have a situation where in India or Sri Lanka conditions, you might have 3 left arm spinners in the squad. He could be in the 11. So that's possible. And then my 15th guy would be Aaron Jones. And my reason for that, now I'm on record as somebody who last year said I didn't think Aaron Jones should be in the USA World Cup squad. And he proved me wrong.
I didn't want to remind you of that, but
You know, I'm willing to own up to that. I raised my hand in the press conference afterward and said, "Hey, there's somebody standing right in front of you who said you shouldn't even be here right now. What do you have to say to him?" And I'm willing to own up to when I've been wrong. And Aaron Jones, again, if I'm looking for a match winner, would I have him in the squad at this moment? I think based on current form, Sandra Krishnamurti should be in that number 4 slot in the starting 11.
sure.
But Aaron Jones, in the same vein as Ali Khan, Sarvin Shavalkar, he's a proven match winner. He's shown he can do it. So between now and February, if he gets hot, and you've got to give him an opportunity to show that he can force his way back into the 11. You can't just leave him at home because he's a match winner. Did it at the World Cup. He did it in the CPL final.
Yep.
That 70 odd he had for his Orcas this year. Again, match to match. My biggest problem with Aaron Jones is match to match. The consistency isn't there. And right. When you're looking at squad balance for me within the 11, again, he's a conventional 11 type player like Monak and Audrey's House. He takes some time to get going. He's not going to go from ball one. And I don't think you can have too many of those guys.
You can't
in the same 11. So from that standpoint, I see him more as cover for Andres or maybe Milan Kumar. I don't think you could swap out Sanjay and put Aaron Jones in. I think Aaron Jones is somebody who I would swap out Andres or Milan if they're out of form for whatever reason. But he's somebody who everybody knows what he can do based on the World Cup, and I don't think you can leave him at home. I would have him in the squad, give him an opportunity to do something to force his way into the 11. And then my 2 reserves, I would have Ali Sheikh. Ali Sheikh is one of them. I was toying with Ali Sheikh or Shayan Jahangir as a batting option. I feel like Shayan Jahangir is too similar to the other top order options available.
Yep.
In terms of, I don't think he's doing anything over and above what the other top order options are doing that would make him better, a better fit. And when I'm looking for a reserve option, Ali Sheikh, I want for a variety of reasons. 1, he can bowl left arm spin. 2, he can bat left-handed. Again, I think it's important if somebody goes down injured, you bring in a left-handed batting option to combat left arm spin and for team balance and disrupting bowlers. And then most of all, Ali Sheikh as a fielder. I would have him in a squad just to sneak him in there as a substitute. If somebody's got a cramp or somebody needs a water break or toilet break, sneak Ali Sheikh in the field for 2 or 3 overs and watch what he can do. Yeah, I think he's the best fielder in America. If you didn't have a logjam of left arm spinners, I would have him in the 15. I feel like Nosh, his overall body of work at this stage, Nosh merits inclusion in a 15-man squad ahead of Ali Sheikh. Ali Sheikh just hasn't done enough with the opportunities available, and I feel like it's partially unfair to penalize him for not getting any games in MLC. I think that's more to do with just a bad luck situation he fell into, and that he didn't get any games. I think if he was in 3 or 4 of the teams, we know what happened with Knight Riders. He wasn't getting any games with the Knight Riders mysteriously. I think if he was with any of the 3 or 4 other teams, he would have gotten more games. And it's hard to penalize him for that, but because he wasn't on the field, he didn't have an opportunity to really press his case to demand being picked over and above Nosh or Harmeet or Hassan. And so I would have him as 16th for that reason. And then as a pace bowling option reserve, I was up in the air between Cornet Dry and Carmine LaRue. I would go with Cornet. I feel like he did more. Another one I was again considering Brody Couch. I don't know if he was out of form or he was just utilized in a less optimal role with unicorns, but his, with the eye, he was quick. He was definitely getting it high on the radar gun, but he wasn't really beating people, and he wasn't taking wicket taking balls. He wasn't bowling wicket taking balls. Forget it, taking wickets. I didn't see enough out of Brody Couch in MLC to think he deserved a place ahead of Cornet. Cornet's height and his bounce is something different. Karmai is the left arm option. If Saurabh were to go down, I would say I would want Karmai added into the squad. If it was any other pace bowler, I would say Cornet should be the one to come in. But for a traveling reserve, I would bring Cornet ahead of Karmai, because I just thought Cornet at this point in time is what he offers is unique in terms of his height, bounce, pace, all that kind of stuff. So that is I tried to make that as abbreviated as possible, guys. My 17, and then we can bounce back in a bit.
Yeah, I've got questions, but I'll hold them till we're all done.
Yeah.
AP.
All right. Well, it's
You're up.
never going to be easy to follow in the steps of Peter Della Penna, so I won't
Nope.
try. But actually, Peter and our top 5 looks pretty similar. I have Monang Patel opening the batting, but he'll be opening the batting with Andres Kraus for me.
Yep.
I just think that's a more natural position for Andres. I think part of the reason he wasn't as successful in MLC was just because he was batting at 1, was kind of getting jumped around. I also think 3 is a perfect spot for Saiteja Mokamala. I think it makes a lot of sense for him to be able to see the game. And then Sanjay Krishnamurthy has shown everything you need to see at number 4, just his hot hand. And then I have Milind Kumar at 5, and I have him there purely because, one, he's been brilliant for the USA, but I love the off-spinning option he has. We have so many guys who take it away from the right-hander, but, if you get yourself in a group with a Sri Lanka that is littered with left-handers, who's going to take the ball away? We've had Stephen Taylor do that in the past, and I think Milind Kumar gives you the option to do it in this situation. At 6, this is where Peter and I will differ for the first time. I have Obis Pinar. I think he is the ultimate T20 finisher in the USA. I love what he brings, and I think that the fact that he hasn't been in USA colors yet is probably criminal. And I think, if you get him there, he's just a match winner. And then at 7, I'll put Hassan Khan there. So we'll have another similarity there. Again, I think he's proven himself to be one of the better domestic players in the entirety of the country. He's shown it through his 2 years of Major League and his a couple seasons in the minor league as well. Number 8, it's my next change. It's Mohammad Mohsin. I want a leggy. I just think when you're in some conditions, I like a leg spinner. I also like that he bats on the left. I think he's a better bat than Harmeet Singh is. I think he's a little bit more explosive as well. And I just like the change of options. And that's where I kind of lean into the Mohammad Mohsin, knowing I have Hassan Khan, Sanjay Krishnamurthy I can turn the ball to. And if I really want another left arm option, I can go in the direction of Obis Pinar. And number 9, I'll go with Ian Holland as well. I think, the 2 to 3 years he's been out of the USA team again has been criminal. I think that he deserves to be in there. And his change of pace, being that third seamer, that's just something we've been missing for a very long time in USA cricket. I have Ali Khan at 10. I didn't have him in my original 11, to be honest with you. Didn't have him in my original 15, but I molded over. And I just think because of the way he's hitting his stride with his health, he's getting back to 90 miles an hour. He's an X factor. He's seen it all. I also think the gamesmanship he does with the crowd is so key in the subcontinent conditions. I think he can take a load off of some of the guys who maybe haven't experienced it a bit. What he does with the Nepali crowd. I don't think it'll be any different with an Indian crowd or a Sri Lankan crowd or anything like that. If it gets down to subcontinent. So I'll have him there at 10. And then 11, no surprise, Saurabh Netravalkar. We've seen what he does with the left-hand side of the ball. And we didn't have the most prolific major league, as Peter said, but his body of work speaks for itself. And you just trust that he's going to come good in clutch situations. Now, I think this part of the list, after the 11s, where things really change for me. Harmeet Singh is my 12th. I think that he has to be in the 15, right? I think he has shown that. like the leg spinning option, but I still want him around because you can slot in for Hassan Khan, for an Obis Panor. You can really slot in wherever you need him to. If Mosin goes down, there's another option. Then I'll look at Calvin Savage as my next fast bowling all-rounder. He didn't bowl Major League Cricket, but I think he's got the stuff to do it. We've seen the slower deliveries, and I think he can be that like-for-like replacement with Ian Holland. I also love what he just does with the bat. So if, an Obis Panor goes down, I think he can just slide in right there and just play as a pure bat if you need him to. So I think he's explosive enough, and I think with the ball, he is more than good enough when he's at his very best. He didn't bowl, and Faf said this, because of an injury. Had he not been injured, they would have bowled him. And if Faf trusts him, I can trust him to come into a team as well. Then at 14, I'll go with Shubham Ranjane. I think he deserves to be in the 15. Don't think there's any question about it. For me, I think he gives you the versatility of batting anywhere 4 and under. I wouldn't put him anywhere in the top 3, but if Milind Kumar goes down, he'd be in. Honestly, if we're not playing in the subcontinent, he's in my 11. I just like spin option for Milind Kumar at 5. It was him or Shubham at 5, and I just thought being in the subcontinent, you want the spinner, but Ranjane deserves to be amongst the conversation there for me. And then my 15th was Rushil Agarkar. 1, because you need the pace bowling option to have a little bit more depth there, knowing Ali Khan. And he's done enough, right? I think we've seen it in Major League. But you look at what he's done before Major League. He's been net bowling IPO for the last 2 years. He's been very acclimated to those wickets there. He's done a lot of it in Mumbai, but he's been all over the country. And I think he's going to provide a special challenge if he gets the opportunity to get into a game. That moment won't get too big for him. After talking to him in the MLC final, I think you could bowl him in the World Cup final over, and his heart rate would stay resting. So I just like that about the kid. And we'll see. Again, this is all projection. This is still the year away, but still projecting how things will look out. And then my 2 reserves, 1 is Cheyenne Jahangir. I just love the versatility that he brings. If Andres Gels goes down, he can jump in. If Obis Panor goes down, he can fit in at number 6. I just think that he's one of those unique batters, one of these unique chameleons we have in the USA setup, that wherever you really need him to be, he can bat in that situation. We really won't need the extra keeper, but if you need it, there you go as well. And then Knox Kenjiga's got to be around the USA squad. He would be my last guy in as a 17th. Again, if a spinner goes down, he would go up. It breaks my heart to not have him in the 15-man roster. And I don't think it's through any fault of his own. It's truly because I just think the leg spinner needs to be involved. And if Knox gets into a game, I think he would be brilliant, and I think that he would take wickets. But for me, I have to have him around. I just can't have him on my 15. So that would be my 17-man roster.
Mr. Walters, I think that takes us to you.
So I've been furiously arranging names on the spreadsheet, given that I found out about 10 minutes ago that we needed to have an 11. But let me preface what I'm saying by saying 2 things. I need, first of all, to have been able to see these players play in person. And so automatically I can tell you Ian Holland is not in my team because I've never actually laid eyes on him. He fits the part in terms of the numbers that we see. I need to be able to actually see him. And I've obviously has nothing to do with him, but that's just a criterion that I came up with.
Sure.
Second is that I have, in some cases, relied heavily on current form, and then in other cases relied on what my perception is of pedigree. Having said all of that, jump right in. My openers are Andrew House and Monarch Patel. Mm-hmm. I think both of those fit the bill. Monarch, obviously, with what he's done in the major leagues this past year. And Andreas, I've had the highest amount of respect for him ever since I've seen him play. So those are 1 and 2 for me. I have Sanjay Krishnamurthy at 3. Sanjay is aggressive. I like the fast start at the top of the order, and I think that he fits that bill well. 4, and these numbers might jump around a little bit. I have Aaron Jones at 4. Mm-hmm. Aaron Jones, for one primary reason, and Peter, this might have to do with you. I think that he performs best when he has a chip on his shoulder.
Yep.
And if he hears any negativity, any you can't do this, or you bat too slowly, or you're better for the 50 over game. I think he. Why do you have that look on your face, people?
Well, you can't blame me anymore. Aaman left him out, so he's got Aaman's providing the chip on his shoulder for Aaron.
It's gonna be like, AP, this one's for you.
Right, and I hope you score a double 100 in 20 overs and get it done. All right, Jones, I love you so much. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So this
He's
very
like, I
process,
moved to Morrisville only to get the no love from Aaman, right? That's what Aaron's gonna
Okay,
say.
so number 5 for me, Milind Kumar, for the obvious reasons. I like the off-spin option. I like the fact that he can bat properly, or if you set him in a position where he needs 20 runs in 8 balls, he's the kind who can go get it. You saw what he did against Dylan Haliger in Florida. Aaman, you and I saw that up close. What was it? 30 runs in 1 over, 5 sixes.
It was enough.
He's
No,
not that-
Dylan Haliger think, should I keep bowling or do I need to stop? It was enough for that.
And the thing is, he's not physically very big, but he times the ball beautifully, strikes it well. He has to be in the side, not to mention the bowling option that you get from him. And I like what you said about being able to have the ball taking the ball away from any left-handers.
Yeah.
That's an important skill. Number 6 for me is Hassan Khan. Hassan Khan is, I think, the left-arm orthodox. Of all the left-arm orthodoxes in the group, I may say that he's the best pure left-arm orthodox bowler. I have a healthy amount of respect for him with the ball, and then you all know what he can do with the bat. So he slots in at 6 for me. 7, Harmeet. He's a little bit less conventional as a left-arm orthodox, meaning he doesn't necessarily turn it very much. He drifts it a lot. He gets his wickets with guile and deception, but you need that. And then you also have the left-handed power hitting options. That's a good one for me. 8, and again, these are not necessarily in bowling or in batting order. Rushil Agarkar, who I've known for a while and saw him grow up right before our eyes last week. And I have a healthy amount of respect for him. Going back to 2 seasons ago when I showed up at Prairie View to commentate and ended up them not having an umpire, so I had to umpire the game, and he opened the bowling from my end. And he's way quicker than you realize when you see him up close. He's genuinely quick. And so, along with the intelligence, those slower balls, as you mentioned, to what's his name the other day, to me, that says that he is not only does he have the tools, but he also has the mental approach. And how about you give a 22-year-old the ball to bowl the final over in a final match in a major cricket tournament? So that's to me his place is in there. We may be heavy on left arm orthodox, but I have Nash Kenjige in my number in my 11. Right now I have him at 9, and again I can be convinced to move these around. 10 is Netravalkar. It speaks for himself. Nothing else needed to be said there.
Yep.
And then 11, I have Ali Khan. So that is from the benefit of having taken the last several minutes to shift some names around. I can be talked out of one of these positions, I'm sure. But in regard to the reserves, first reserve is Shadley Van Skalvik. I think even though he was more expensive than he would have wanted to have been for Major League, 10 runs and over, but 14 wickets, you can't sneeze at that. And I think he is somebody who is similar to what I just described about Rushil. Changes speeds very well, is able to read the game, is able to swing the new ball, he can cut the old ball. I think he's essentially a complete bowler in that sense. Doesn't quite make the 11 for me, but certainly in the as a reserve. 13. I actually had to be talked out of putting him into the 11. I argued with myself and I lost. Ali Sheikh. Peter, you said it earlier, and I always say it when I'm on commentary. He's the best fielder in the country, bar none. And even if he's not in the 11, he can jump onto the field and just be whatever you need for him to be in the field. And with the ball, if he's in the 11, I think he performs creditably well. Again, we have a bunch of left arm orthodox, so I don't know that you necessarily need to have him there. And then with the bats, he has come along leaps and bounds in the last couple of seasons, so much so that he's now a power player. And again, somebody who's relatively small in terms of his physical size, but strikes it beautifully. And that part of his game is coming along too. So he has to be in the 15 for me. 14, and this is maybe a little bit of my bias, left arm orthodox, Carmine Leroux. He could potentially, and I think you said this earlier, Peter, could potentially, if Sarab is not available for whatever reason, then he slots into into that spot. He is obviously much taller, I think much quicker than Netravalka. Netravalka gets the nod in terms of experience and all of that, but Carmine has to be in the 15. And then number 15 for me, and I kick myself for having him being 15 instead of 11, Shubham Ranjane. More so because I could not find a place. I didn't know who to replace in the middle order, in the lower middle order, to put him in. But again, his pedigree speaks for itself, and I think he's certainly going to be an important member of the squad. And then 16 and 17. 16, Shayan Jahangir. No fault of his that we have the entire top order is wicketkeeper batters. Yeah. We can't really hold that against him. But I guess he for me is a traveling reserve. And then 17 is a name that we've not yet called, Joshua Trump. I think that he has to be around the squad. Maybe a year and a half from now, he walks into the squad. If a couple of retirements, maybe Aaron Jones or somebody like that. But Joshua Trump, I think the world of him. I think the world of Matthew. I don't have a spot necessarily for Matthew, given his skill set, even though he performed better with the bats in this last tournament in major leagues than I've seen him before. Don't quite have a spot for him, but I think Joshua as a pure batter, and of course he's also a wicket keeper. So that for me puts him in the running. So I want him in the tournament party for that reason. And that is the best I could do on short notice.
So Matthew took one to the nuts in Oakland Coliseum, and now he's taking another shot because you've taken his twin brother over him.
Yep.
Matthew, I'm sorry, they live right here in Austin. They live like 15 miles away from me. Matthew, I'm so sorry, but you'll be in there the next time.
All right. Nate.
All right. Well, this has been great.
This is so hard.
It's so hard.
I just want to freaking say is,
Oh my God, yes.
You guys are giving, like, I'm going last, and now I'm getting anxiety about, like, all the guys I didn't put in my...
No, I mean, this is fantastic. I can't wait for the discussion afterwards because there's a lot of points everybody's brought up that have been fabulous, and it's so hard to cut guys because in the past it was a case of trying to find 15 guys good enough to play at USA, and now we've reached a point in 2025 where it's how do you trim down to get to 15 because there's some of the guys we've cycled through the overlap. We've talked about it that how do you split hairs in terms of which guys you leave out and which guys you keep in, and we never used to be in this situation in American cricket.
Yeah,
high class problem.
It's tough, especially the toughest thing for me with this was trying to prepare a team for the subcontinent versus just who I thought was the best.
That's right.
The best 11.
That's right.
And so I kind of erred more on the side of just preparing a best 11 for me. But my 11 and my 15 somewhat interchangeable. I'm going to give you my order a little bit differently based on who I think are absolute locks. And then I'm going to move from there. So at the number 11 position, put Saurabh Netravalkar.
Okay.
He came on really strong at the end of MLC. The last 5 games or so, we saw the old Saurabh, and he started a little bit slow, but he's still one of the best bowlers in MLC history. One of the very top bowlers all around, compared domestic or international star, I should say. All these guys are internationals here. Then I would say Monank at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I don't have to talk much more about that. We all know why. He just led MLC in runs.
Yeah.
Number 2, you're thinking ahead of me here. Andres Geuth, number 2, and that's I still think he's either the best or one of the top 3 batters in the country. So he's obviously automatic. Number 3, Sai Mukamala. I like him anywhere in this top 3. Same thing with Andres and same thing with Monarch, but I just think this is a little bit better. I just like the way that this works a little bit more.
Yep.
Number 4, I'm going with Sanjay Krishnamurthy for the same reasons that Peter said. He's a microwave. He's coming in. Strike rate is such an important thing for him. He thinks about that first and foremost, and I think that's really helped his development. You see a lot of young players not develop the T20 game as fast as Sanjay has. And speaking of that, Sai is basically our best T20 batter right now in the international team, and we never would have probably predicted that 2 years ago. I mean, he's a fantastic bat, but I think a lot of us thought of him more as ODI first.
Yeah.
Number 5, this is where I differ from every single person so far. We have Milland down the board. I like Milland. I think he's been fantastic for USA. I love also having the off break spin from a right arm bowler there, and I think that's probably what gets him in the team here more than anything else. But I wanted to have a batter, I think, that has performed a little bit better against against the elite bowlers.
Yep.
And I think Milland kind of struggles with strike rate against the elite bowlers in MLC. He doesn't have a good MLC track record. He didn't do particularly well against the top teams internationally. So I've got Shubham Ranjani here at number 5. I don't think you can have the MLC that he had without making his way into this 11. Personally, because he was the most explosive T20 bat domestically. And number 6, I've got Hassan Khan.
Yep.
I think he's all around the best player in the country, the best cricketer in the country.
Yep.
And I think a lot of folks have said Ali Sheikh is the best fielder. I think Hassan Khan's right there with him. I love Ali Sheikh, his fielding and everything, but Hassan Khan, my God, how quickly he gets around the field. I just love everything about this guy. Number 7, this is very different. This is totally different, especially for the subcontinent. This was really tough. This was my toughest position. In fact, it was so tough, I'm going to skip it for now and come back to it.
That sounds like cheating. Okay, no,
well, I said I was going to. Yeah. I said I was going to go with the guys I think are locks first.
Okay. So I like Nate's approach to this. I like the locks, and then yeah.
So number 8, I'm going to go with Ian Holland.
Yep. Okay.
Who, for all the reasons everyone said, Aaman talked at length about how he wasn't utilized enough by Washington. I absolutely agree. I think he could have won that final for them. So he's my lock there. Now I've got number 10. This was tough. This was really tough because the fast bowlers, I think, it seems like when you look at the names, it's like, wow, we're spoiled for choice. But when you look at the performances in MLC this season, we didn't have a lot of great performances from domestic fast bowlers outside of Ian Holland and Saurabh Netravalkar. But I'm going with Ali Khan, tried and true.
At what, number 10? Is that what you're saying?
Number 10. Number 10, Ali Khan.
Yeah,
yes.
Sure.
And I got him at number 10 batting instead of 11 because I asked him one of the games in Major League. I asked him, hey, if you gotten in there with six needed to win, you think you would have won? He was like, absolutely, yeah, we would have won the game. And I was like, okay, he's batting number 10 for me.
Remember the 6 he hit off of Saurabh in Morrisville last year?
Yeah,
monster shot.
And then number 9, or let's go with this was difficult. Okay, my number 7 and number 9 were my two toughest choices. Number 9, I picked Muhammad Moslin for the same reason.
Yeah.
I wanted a leg break bowler. I wanted a variety.
Yeah.
I don't have enough spinners in this team. I know that's true. So my number 7 was a really difficult choice. But I feel like throughout Major League Cricket, somebody who's batted as a finisher role better than just about anybody is Calvin Savage. And I like his variations. I like his slower ball. Now, I don't know how much he's going to bowl with Ian Holland in the mix, and definitely I believe that there's a spinner short here, but I just like this batting really well, this batting team here. So that brings me to number 12, who is I'm putting Harmeet Singh at number 12 because I think he's interchangeable here for Calvin and for Mohsin. I can imagine him being in this team over Calvin right now, just because of the conditions, considering that. But
Yep.
like I said, I just love Calvin's bat, and I think we need to score. After him, I've got Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones starting on the bench is the best mix between leaving him out of the team and inspiring him for the future and inspiring him for this tournament. We put him in the team, he's gonna take it for granted. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking about that. But after him, I've got Obas Pinar. I think Obas is my Calvin Savage number 2 and my Shubham Ranjani number 2. I also, he can give you a little bit with the left arm spin, and he's just a phenomenal fielder. He's a very good fielder. How many times did we see him on the catching end of big plays for Washington this season? Same with Calvin. I love Calvin's fielding. He took some clutch catches. They always seem like they're up for the moment. They're always in the moment. And I also like Obas. I think that he's incredibly versatile as a batter. He can play slow if you just need to recover an innings. He did that last season with in one innings with Lahiru for Washington. He can go big at the end. We see him oftentimes with that Washington team. A lot of times he's batting in situations where he just kind of has to pull it together for a little while. Even so, his numbers are phenomenal. And then last of all, Rasheal Ugarkar. I don't think you can have the season that he had. I don't think you can show the bowling versatility that he's shown. His ability to bowl different styles in different situations. It was almost like the captain could just go to him and say, I need you to bowl this way. Hey, we're changing the plan. We need you to bowl seam up. Hey, we need you to scramble seam. We need you to bowl slower balls, cutter balls, whatever. And he was able to execute that. And that to me is fantastic. His ability to change, to adapt to the situation. We've got a superstar on earth here in Major League Cricket this season. Brian said he's seen him a lot down there in Texas. He has emerged, unless you're down there in Texas watching him, it almost looks like he's emerged out of nowhere. That's not true. He's been very, very good. He's been, but he's definitely blown up recently. This was extra hard for some reason. My last two, I thought at first when I did this, I thought, oh, the last two make the 15-man squad easier because now I can just, maybe, but no, this was the hardest part for me. I left out Nosh Kenjige from this 15-man squad, and I can't believe that I did that. So I'm putting Nosh as my number 16 here. Very helpful for sure as depth, and obviously in the nets, you're going to want a guy like Nosh, and he's going to have a tremendous attitude. He'll slide right in the team if anyone gets hurt, and he's going to perform. How many times do we see Nosh not start a major league season and come in and perform as good as anybody? How many times do we see him start a tour and maybe not start the first game or something and then come in and play as good as anybody? Nosh has the emotional IQ to handle being a reserve. And it's a shame that he's not in my 15. So Nosh is my 16. My 17, this was really hard. But I've settled on Shadley for many of the same reasons. He's a veteran of the team. It's a shame on me for leaving him out of the 15, honestly. But I think he's got the emotional maturity and intelligence to handle being a reserve with them. Maybe if you put like a bigger name or something in this category, they might not be able to handle it as well. Maybe Pouty or something, but these two guys aren't going to do that. I also considered Justin Dill here, Carmi, Cornet, and Brody Couch. I really wanted to find a way to put Brody Couch in this team.
Yep.
With his pace, and honestly, his fielding impressed me a lot in Major League Cricket. I felt like he was a very good fielder. He works very hard in the field, and he performs in the field, and I like to value fielding quite a bit. But I think my team has enough of that, and I think Brody Couch will be in the team. You can't keep him out of this team. I think one day or another he'll be in this side. I'd like to give a honorable mention to Unmuk Chand, who I really considered strongly for this side. Shayan Jahangir, who deserves every chance to play himself out of the team. Ali Sheikh, who I am so mad at Seattle for not including him in Major League Cricket this season, because as a left-handed batter and as a explosive fielder and a good bowler, and also as somebody who has an incredible attitude. He's not going to shy away from anything. I really love I really love Ali Sheikh, and I wish he could have been in this team. I like I said earlier, Peter said he didn't want to punish someone for not being included in Major League Cricket. I'm definitely doing that here, but I'm blaming Seattle.
You know, Nate, I ran into Ollie during the final. See, there's the final or the semifinal. He was there in the stadium, and I asked him.
Final, right?
He was there one of the days.
He was there both.
He was there both days.
Oh,
Both days, yeah.
he was there for the final. I remember standing next to him when Rushil bowled the final.
And I asked him. I said, Ollie, did you kick the owner's dog or the coach's dog? What happened that you didn't get picked for any games? Just
Yeah. Which coach are you talking about? Because
there's no shortage of options, man.
yeah, I was gonna say
Did he
Matthew
do
Mott lasted
something on the?
half the season, and then there was another coach. We had two coaches whose dogs he might have kicked.
Did one of the did one of the coaches or the owner bring their dog to the adopt a dog night in Texas, and he kicked them, or something happened that he just seriously offended somebody? Like I don't understand.
Yeah, look, I like I told you guys offline, I almost wanted to stop doing this because I was like, one, this is hard, and two, like, how do I leave X, Y, Z, A, B, C off the team, right? Like, if there were a 24-man squad, I think I'd be a little bit more comfortable with like who is and who isn't on the team, right? You'll also see why I love Nate so much. And why he's my bro. Not that the rest of you are not my bros, right? You're all my bros. But this is, I'm just gonna make it because everyone's said a lot, and I've been the peanut gallery, so I'm gonna make mine quick, right? These are my first 12.
Oh, wow.
And you can see the only difference between me and Nate is Harmeet and Calvin, right? So I had Monank and Andres opening, and I had Saiteja third, right? Like, other than Brian, the rest of us have them 1, 2, and 3 in some order, right? I don't think there's a lot. And the rest of us, and we all have Sanjay in the top 4, right? So I think that's really not that hard. Now, I also went with Shubham over Milland, right? I love Milland. Milland's been doing a lot. I think Nate struck gold, whatever you want to talk, or however you want to characterize it, which has been on my mind too, which is when you look at how our American team has been performing internationally, you're talking about Oman, you're talking about Nepal, you're talking about Canada, you're talking about, like, that's who we play, right? And in the World Cup, you're talking about potentially India, England, South Africa, where it's a freaking different game, right? And MLC is not the perfect approximation, but I think it's a better approximation than playing Nepal in a T20, right? Like, you with me, Nate? Like, I just think that's performance in MLC to me says more than like what happened in Florida against Canada, right? Not to knock any of it. It's all important. And then I go back to the World Cup, right? You look at Harmeet, like, one of the most critical but forgotten, not impressive, but forgotten knocks of the World Cup for me was Harmeet's partnership with Andres against South Africa in the Super 8s, right?
Yep.
Like, Harmeet was striking at 170, 180, he had like 38 off 22, or I forget the exact knock, right? And the two of them took us very close to South Africa. And this Harmeet batting late can do that against that team on that stage, right? Like, Seattle had a wild, crazy year. Harmeet still bowled really well. He had one of the best economies of all our bowlers, right? In domestically, this MLC. And then you can do so. Like, I think Harmeet's place is, for me, like a lock. Okay. Then I had Dutchy. I'm with Aaman and Nate. I think it's MLC talking. I think I want to see Mohammed Mohsen in the, and look, as someone who myself, I'm of a Muslim background, I am not ashamed to spell Muhammad incorrectly because there's like 18 different ways to spell it. So there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just fixed it. But yeah, we need a leggy, man, because we are so deprived. Like, we just don't think that we need one, and we don't really have that option. I think we need a leggy. I did tailor this more for South Asian conditions, right? Like, so someone like him, someone like Ali, like, Hassan Harmeet, right? Who's like played IPL, who's freaking played Ranji Trophy. Like, these guys know how to play in India, and you can't understate that, and know how to play in the subcontinent, right? Ali, look, I was a little torn on Ali. I love him, and I have him in here, right? So, period. Like Peter said, he's a match winner. The one thing that I am looking for in our squad, and I don't know how to solve for this, because we need the bowlers, right? And we need the attack, and we need someone who can rip people's faces off with a fastball or a bouncer early, right? Like, we need that. And that's why I was tinkering with Brody Couch, right? But so we need Ali, right? I just wish I just want to bat as deep as we can, right? Because what I found watching us in the World Cup is those last 10, 15 runs in a match make a big freaking difference every single time, right? And if we get that deep, if we fall that low in the order, like if your number 10, 11 guy comes in, you want someone who can just get going and hit a few boundaries, right? And Ali can, so I'm leaving him in here. But I do think, right, there are potentially some more explosive options, but whatever. This is all about trade-offs, right? So up till this, Nate and I literally have the exact same team, except for swapping out Calvin and Hermit, right? Then the rest of my 15, I had Aaron, Nosh, and Rushil. Again, slightly different. I have Nosh in there just because, like everything he said, I think Nosh is lethal when we put the ball in his hands. I think he's reliable. I think he's dependable. I do think what you were saying about EQ is huge. I think we have a lot of guys with really good attitude. I think Nosh has the best attitude of freaking everyone I've ever met, right? He's just there to be a good teammate. I think he can handle this, and I think he'll understand we have a lot of spinners, and if he doesn't take the field in our first 11, so be it. Rashil, everything said, enough said, right? He also knows South Asian conditions. My reserves, I had Obus and Shadley, right? Shadley, we don't have to explain very much, right? Like he's proven time and again, and his variations, everything we need, and he's not the worst bat either, right? He's not like lethal with the bat, but I'm not depressed if he's walking in at number 10 or number 11, right? And I still feel we have hope if we get to that point. Now, the one thing I'll say about Albus is I'm a firm believer, right, in constructing a team. And I was saying to some of you guys the other day that after the first three, right, and we've got the first three here that we know they all take, at least, Monarch Andres sometimes take a few balls to get going, right? But I think number 4 through number 8, even 9, I was hoping till 10, right? You want guys who can walk in and just start freaking smacking away and get 30 off 12 or 30 off 14 or 30 off 16 or 25 off 12, right? Like in 4 through 8 or 9 to construct a good innings, right? Wicked start. You want the guys who can do that. And to me, there is no question that Albus is that guy, right? I think looking at this, I feel very confident that Sanjay is that guy, Shubham is that guy, Hassan is that guy, Harmeet is that guy. And Ian can pull it off too, as can Mosit, right? Ian, I don't, what I haven't seen enough of Ian, and the county setting is different, to really know how quickly he can attack. That to me is a bit of a question mark. Maybe he can, but in the T20 format, can Ian attack hard quickly? Maybe, but I think his spot is secure. But I know Albus, right? Albus, you can send him in any point late, and you want the guy who could. That's how you build something close to 200 run innings, right? Even when wickets start falling early, if everyone can get 25, 30 runs or is capable of it, you're in good shape. So that is my 17. Like, again, I am beside myself with sadness that I couldn't fit Carmi in here. I couldn't fit Ali Sheikh in here. I couldn't fit look, I do think that Cheyenne is very versatile, right? I just there's I just couldn't fit him in here. I couldn't fit Unmukt in here. I thought there's a case for him maybe up here, right? Like in the top three. I just think I can't justify picking him over any of these three, right? And we've got the wicket keepers we need, but we have there's an outside conversation about, for example, maybe a Tajinder, right? Maybe there's a couple of others who you could throw into the mix. Obviously Brody, I thought, but again, the 24-man squad, I'd have all of them. So here we are.
If you take a look, I made a tab called overlap. So if you click on that tab, you'll see the number of times we mentioned each player. And I made bold the ones that are 5.
Why don't I use something like
this is fancy. I hand wrote mine. So I counted 6. I've got 6 unanimous picks in the starting 11, which would be Monank, Andres.
Here we go.
Sanjay,
I did some data ninjosity sorting action of the spreadsheet, and there we go. All 5 of us picked these.
Standard deviation, though.
Yeah, exactly. This is in the 17, Nate, or in the 15?
That's in the 17. Because Nosh is not in everybody's 15.
Yeah.
This is the whole 17. Yeah, exactly.
And then I've got. What do you got there? Army, Ranjani.
So this is.
So Shubham, I've got everybody's got Shubham too. Shubham should be 5.
Really?
No, I don't think Brian had Shubham.
Brian had him in his 12.
Oh, he did.
Brian's got him on there.
Yeah. All right, hold on a second. This could be wrong.
I'm not 15.
Yeah, that's
so the 3 guys who are there's 6 guys who are unanimous in the starting 11: Ali Khan, Monag, Andres, Hassan Khan, Saurabh, Nejavalkar, and Krishnamurti, and then 3 other guys unanimous in the squad itself are Rushil Garkar, Harmeet Singh, and Shubham Ranjani, but not all of us had him in our starting 11s.
Yep.
Now I'm curious. I gotta jump in here. Did Sai Mukamala kick Brian's dog? What did Sai do to Brian to have Brian leave Sai, as Nate said, the best U.S. bat of the last 18-24 months? He's not even at the team. Brian, what's going on?
Very hard about this, and it comes down to me to wanting to see Sai as a classical 50 over bat instead of having to hit big. I don't want to see Sai turn into what's his name?
The next American superstar?
No. I lost his name just now. From Guyana, left-handed bat. He came up.
Gotch.
No. Left-hand for West Indies, I mean.
Shib Chandapal.
No. I cannot believe I can't remember his name. But anyway, he came up, proper test cricketer.
You talking about Hetmeyer? Who are you talking about?
Hetmeyer. Why could I not remember his name? Hetmeyer. We have turned Hetmeyer in the last several years from a proper batter who can bat long innings to somebody who comes out and throws his bats. And I don't want things to happen with him. Huh?
You can't argue with what Shimron Hetmeyer is doing, right? Like, I don't. If Sai can do that, I'll freaking take it all day.
Okay, maybe he did kick my dog. And my dog. I'm not going to tell you that.
The truth.
I'm going to tell you that my dog just passed away a couple of months ago. So maybe he's the one who did it.
No, but
it was Sai.
I will. In Brian's defense, what I will say is, again, Sai tearing it up for the U.S. internationally. Like, I still have Sai as my number 3, right? And you heard Daryl Mitchell talking about him on the MLC talk show when we interviewed him, right? He was like, he's got a composure about him. He's great. He's got a great future. So I'm all in on Sai, but I'm with Brian in that, like, again, I am not weighting that heavily the stuff that some of these guys have done internationally against, like, B opposition, right? Like,
so I don't
go ahead.
I don't mind you saying that. I think the difference is meh opposition, if you will, on meh services. The services of the World Cup aren't going to be anywhere near as poor as some of the services that they'll play on. And Sai Smith-Great is upwards of 170 at the moment, playing in areas where you really don't know what's going to happen, whether the wind is going to knock over the side screen or not. You don't know what the wicket's going to do on a particular day. So, I think the point about Milland is fair in the sense of the fact that, most of his stuff has come against associate members, but there's gonna be associate members at this World Cup, and you're doing it on tricky wickets in tricky conditions against guys you won't see in not a kind of full-time environment. I just think that like there needs to be that bit of like context behind it. Like you can take a major league ranking and say that's more important if that's what you will, and that's fair enough.
Sure.
But I do think there needs to be that context behind like the associate scene is great. Like Nepal might not be the number one T20 team in the world, but I think Nepal took South Africa one ball away from beating them. They were
That's true.
They were a couple moments away from shocking the entire world last World Cup. Oh, Scotland would have beaten England had the rain not fallen that day in Barbados. They were 100 for none against England that day in 10 overs. So I do think that it's a touch unfair to say that those performances don't matter against competition that can beat full member nations.
I agree with that to it. You have to, yes, there's context. The thing about Cricket World Cup League 2 is there's more context in the ODI version than there is in the T20 version right now.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at the guys who performed in the ODI version, that's where you get the clutch aspect. That's where you can translate that across different formats for sure. And I think Milland, you could build an argument for Milland by saying he's performed for USA in T20 and in ODI, and he's done it in clutch situations, and he's had big moments. And so I would, if Milland is in this team, I'm not in the least bit upset. But I just, for me, that was my thinking.
Well, the other thing too about him, when I'm looking at the across the board, the thing that I see, so me, Aaman, and Brian have him in there. In Nate and Z's squads, if you don't have Milland, there's no off-spin option as an all-round option to bowl to a left-hand bat, which Brian pointed out is such an important thing.
I agree. Very consciously.
That's true. And also another problem with everybody's 11 is we don't have any left-handed batters. And so I mean there's weaknesses in this.
Well, Harmeet,
yes, but not until we don't have a left-handed batter until finishers.
So on that point, I wanted to bring this up. Just having a glance back at the 2015 squad. So of the guys who were in the squad that we've killed off and ended their careers in our chat, if they weren't already ended already, no Nitish Kumar, no Jesse Singh, no Nisarg Patel, no Stephen Taylor, no Corey Anderson. And on the point about the left-handers, Stephen Taylor, we haven't talked about him, about guys I'm brokenhearted about leaving off. American cricket would be in a far greater position if Stephen Taylor could get his act together. I want to bend over backwards to pick him. I would love nothing more than to have him in the team.
Absolutely.
I mean, yes, we know about his batting and his off-spin, but his fielding, one of the forgotten moments about that win over Pakistan, his getting flipped to start at the and wherever you put him in the field, he's a phenomenal fielder.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about the squads that we've got in front of us is that the fielding depth in American cricket is probably as great as it's ever been. Absolutely. When we didn't mention that aspect of Sanjay Krishnamurti. To me, one of the reasons why he's an automatic pick, it's not just his explosive batting. You put him in the field, he's an outstanding athletic fielder. It wasn't just the catches he took. Aaman talked about it during MLC. It was the sixes he saved from going over the rope. Absolutely. Anything he does on the field is so attention getting. And he's kind of flown under the radar because we talked about, Brian said Ollie Sheikh is probably the best fielder in America. I think he's the best fielder in America. Sanjay Krishnamurti is an elite fielder, at least in the context of American cricket. And he has raised the bar across the board in the entire squad. And it's kind of sad for me to see that none of us have Stephen Taylor. I think justifiably, I can't include Stephen Taylor on his current form based on what these other guys have done.
Yeah.
But if he could get his act together, and to Z's point, one of the issues I have with Taylor is the fact that he bullies bad teams. You look at him in minor league cricket, he absolutely slaughters everybody. How many times has he been dropped from USA and he goes back to minor league and scores a century off 40 balls or 45 balls.
Remember last year, 2 centuries in a weekend.
Yeah,
right?
a weekend. Yep.
But then, he comes into MLC and none off 10, none off 11 balls. He couldn't get the ball off the square. It was difficult conditions that match, but like you gotta play the hand you're dealt. And he just looked, in Florida. That was the other thing. It wasn't like he was playing in a stadium that he's completely alien to. That's literally his home ground. He's grown up like 10 minutes from Lauderhill. He's played in that ground probably more than any other international ground in the world. And he looked completely out of sorts in that innings. And I thought, oh, Steven, come on, man. Like, you can't let this happen. Like, you gotta pick yourself up here. And to me, that's quite sad. And so for him and the left-handed aspect, having him in there for a decade, you could count on him being a left-hander, balancing out the right-hand, left-hand aspect of the top of the order. Him not being there is an issue, and that causes problems in terms of lack of left-handers in the batting lineup. And then Corey Anderson, the other guy who was in the squad last year, also provided a left-hand batting option, and he's not in anybody's team. Again, justifiably so. You can't pick a guy who was injured all tournament and didn't really demonstrate anything to knock out any of the incumbents.
But again, this is a good case for Ali Sheikh. This is why another reason why I'm ticked off that he didn't get any chances in Major League Cricket, because he can be a game changer with the left-handed with the bat from the left side. Not at the top of the order, but at some point in those middle overs when you've got to deal with spinners.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on the Steven Taylor thing. It's not only heartbreaking just from the left-handed perspective, but for a guy even like Saiteji Mukamalo or Sanjay Krishnamurti, a young cricketer in the States, we grew up on Steven Taylor. Like, we would sit in rooms and watch his highlight videos. I remember in 2022 going back to a dorm room with a couple of my buddies, and we sat there until like 2 a.m. and we watched Steven Taylor's greatest hits. Like, this is a very alien feeling for a lot of young USA cricket fans who have kind of come up playing youth cricket, idolizing Steven Taylor, to not see his name on that list. So not just heartbreaking from the perspective of we love a left-handed batter. He is quite literally someone who has almost moved a generation, and the generation including Sai Mukamala and Sanjay Krishnamurti.
Absolutely, especially here in Morrisville.
I'm gonna take this back to the like associate versus full member like competition thing, and I just want to remind everyone that the 2026 World Cup is going to be structured like the 2024, right? 4 groups of 5, right? And we have 12 full member nations in the ICC, right? I think they'll all qualify. Let's assume they all do, right? So there's going to be 3 in every group and 2 associates in every group, right? So we, as one of the associates, we're going to play 1 other associate, and we're going to play 3 full members at the group stage, right? What happened last time? We beat Pakistan, we beat Canada, right? And we got rained out against Ireland, and we lost against India. And it's because we beat Pakistan. We had our 1 associate match, and we won that. Great. Ireland's technically a full member. Okay, we got lucky there in our group, but we got rained out. We are going to have to beat a full member to get past the group stage. Period. End of story. And so, maybe we get Netherlands in our group and maybe we beat them. But I come back to, we're going to have to beat a West Indies or a Sri Lanka or an England or an Australia or however the hell that we end up in the same group with, right? Or 2 of them, right? To move forward. Mm-hmm. And I do think, to me, do these guys who we're picking, right? It just comes back to, can you perform against that world-class opposition, right? And that world-class opposition, we love minor league, but it's not minor league. That world-class opposition, I come back to it. Nothing against our CWC League 2, fellow countries, right? The Nepals, the UAEs, the Omans, the whoever, right? The Canadas. But it's just, we're going to get 1 of them. And so
that was my argument against having Shine Jahangir in the squad.
Yeah.
If you look at it on a case-by-case basis, and some players will use this argument for, and some I won't, and I'll look at it in a different way. When I looked at Shine Jahangir, going beyond what I said earlier about, I thought, again, head-to-head, he's not ahead of Monang. I wouldn't put him head-to-head against Sai, I wouldn't put him head to head above Andres. And then in the middle order, so again, you guys talked about his versatility. Head to head, is he a better finisher than Shubham Ranjani? No. Is he head to head a better finisher than Hassan Khan? No.
No.
And when I look back to the World Cup last year, and the match before the World Cup, so we had the one game against Bangladesh, made 18, and then in the World Cup itself, when Monank got injured, he was out. I think it was first ball against India, and then made 3 against South Africa, and I just did not come away with a positive impression in terms of what Z is talking about against the higher class teams. Is Cheyenne somebody who, if you brought him in, to me, Cheyenne is somebody who he's either got to be in the 11 or he's not in the squad at all. And I would not have him as a reserve. And so if he's not in the 11 ahead of Monank or Andres as a top order player, and he's not ahead of Shubham or Hassan Khan as a middle order finisher, I would rather have the options that I listed. And again, in particular, Aaron Jones, again, a match winner. To me, I put great emphasis on that. And Aaron Jones being a match winner, doing something exceptional. Again, the consistency isn't there with Aaron Jones. There's probably more consistency with Cheyenne from match to match. But Aaron Jones demonstrates the capacity that he could do something incredibly special over and above his ceiling for what he can do. I think is higher than Cheyenne's ceiling for what he can do against a higher class opponent.
I think for me, I wanted to put a top order bat in my 15-man squad, and I was looking at Shea over Aaron Jones because of that. Because Shea's got versatility, you can bat him anywhere 1 through 7, pretty much. Aaron, you can't open with Aaron. He can't really play in the top 3. And that's if I look at my team, I've got a couple of weaknesses. I definitely probably missing out on a little bit of spin depth. I don't have the right arm off break option.
Yep.
And I'm missing out on depth at the top of the order. If Monank or Andres go down, well, then Syed has to move up. But now who do you put at number 3? And that's a trick. So acknowledging the weaknesses of my team, those are the 2 things I think. We all have the weakness of not having enough left-handed batters, but that's just because we got what we got.
And on your point against weaknesses of spin or how do you pick a guy in, or you're leaving a guy out, you're leaving a hole. For me, I've always been a huge believer in a leg spinner, and I desperately wanted to pick a leg spinner, but
why didn't you pick Mohsin?
So my argument against Mohsin, if we're going on recency bias, he only played 3 matches in MLC this year, and he only took 2 wickets, and he did it against the Unicorns and MI New York. So you got the champion team and the team that was basically at the top of the table throughout much of the regular season, and he only took 2 wickets in 3 games. I know what he's done in the past. He's definitely in the conversation for me, but I wasn't bowled over. I wasn't overwhelmed. And again, if I go by the threshold of you got to do something to knock out an incumbent, I didn't see that from him. I mean, and we haven't talked about Yasser Muhammad. Yasser Muhammad, in theory, is the incumbent in the U.S. squad. He got one opportunity with freedom in the Oakland Coliseum, and he got hammered bad. Yep. That did not leave a positive impression. And the way he's been handled by Monank Patel as a captain, the overriding theme with Yasser Muhammad to me is that his captains lack confidence in him. He's a confident guy himself. And if we talk about fielding, again, if you put him in the team, you're raising the standard of fielding. Yeah, Yasser Muhammad is an outstanding fielder.
Outstanding.
Right? And he took the matches he did play in Oakland, he took a couple outstanding catches. Yeah. And catches that a lot of guys in those positions probably are not going to take. So I get Yasser, somebody, a garden stater. He's from New Jersey. I want him in the team. I want a leg spinner in the team. But he hasn't, for better or worse, with the opportunities he's had, I don't see him as somebody that the captains have confidence in to bowl in any situation, which is a red flag for me. And I mean, Nate, we've gone back however many years. I am still baffled as to why Raymond Ramertan doesn't get more opportunities across the country. The lack of development of a leg spinner across the board is a frustration for me. So whether it's Yasser, Raymond, Muhammad Mohsin, I know Muhammad has done other stuff domestically that's been impressive, but in the most recent example for me against high-class MLC competition, he didn't knock my socks off, and that's why, as much as I want a leg spinner team, I didn't pick one.
The tough thing for me with Yasser is, for all those years he plays in the Northeast or in the Eastern Division in minor league, and for so many years he's not getting his quota every game. And I always wondered, why aren't these guys giving him their quota? Ray would get his quota more often than Yasser would. Another guy I wondered in the past why they weren't getting the ball is Adam Kahn down in Florida.
Yeah.
And when he did get the ball a lot this year, he was so good he got himself drafted into Major League Cricket. And when we watch him, Aaman and I watched him bowl a lot. He's a very accurate leg break bowler. He's for a leggy, he's very accurate, very consistent, and I love his attitude. And I think he's one of those guys to look out for in the future. And I hope, if we went back before the World Cup and we did a show like this where we're drafting a World Cup squad, I don't know how many of us would have Saiteja Mukamala's team name in that 11. Probably, I don't know. I could say that I probably didn't at the time. If we're drafting a team this far ahead of the last World Cup, I don't think any of us are putting him in the 11. Now, for most of us, he's just irreplaceable. He's definitely a guy you're putting in that 11. I hope in the future we see that with Yasser, where the next World Cup maybe we're talking about Yasser's got to be in this team. But he needs to get chances to get there. He needs to get chances for wherever he's playing. He needs to get in. He needs to get his quota. And it's so I don't know why it is so hard for a leggy in this country to get their quota in domestic cricket, but it's a very difficult thing. And maybe we'll be talking about Adam Kahn the same way in the future.
Yeah, and I think to that point about Mohsin in particular, his games came in the Coliseum, tough place to bowl. Boundaries not ideal for the leg spinner, especially against some teams that are trying to go big at you. And then, just was never going to get into a side that featured both Nur Ahmed and Akil Hussain. He was just kind of hard done by that combination. He bowled in Florida, did bowl particularly excellently, but I still have a lot of faith in him. He's a very confident individual. But to Nate, I think, Nate, you just brought up a really interesting point. There's still a lot of time for this team. And for a lot of the young guys, Brian, I love that you included Joshua Trump because he's someone I wanted to get into my 15 and couldn't find room for. But he's someone that, again, to me, can bat anywhere from 1 to 7 on a lineup. And Adam Kahn as a young leg spinner, I think there's a lot of young names that'll pop up in a couple of years. And again, you look at this, you have the under 23s. There's probably 3 in each of our 15s in Sai, Sanjay, and Rushil. And then Ali Sheikh is right there alongside a lot of them. So I wouldn't be surprised that if in a year we're talking, could you get Josh Trump in here? Could you get an Adam Kahn in here? And then continue that kind of youth movement in that direction.
I got a question for Brian.
Yes, sir.
We heard Peter say why he didn't include Mohsin. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I was looking for a place to interject. Here's the argument against Mohsin, and that sounds negative. I think the world of him as a cricketer. If you're looking for a leg break bowler, you're looking for somebody to take the ball away from the right-handers. Well, you have a bevy, at least in my lineup, you have a bevy of left-arm orthodox bowlers who all do that. And then if you think, okay, maybe somebody to slip in the googly every once in a while, essentially Harmeet Singh bowls arm balls, and then some of them move in off the seam in towards the right-hander. So for me, it is not specific enough a requirement for strictly a leg break bowler to include him. If you look at his bat, is he destructive with the bat? Absolutely. But in the lower middle order, you have the Harmeet Singhs and you have the Hassan Khans and you have batters of that caliber. You don't necessarily lose a lot by not having him in the lineup for his bat. And then on balance, the other players who we're talking about, the Hassan Khans and the, Ali Sheiks and those guys, are, I think, easily better fielders than he is. And that sounds so bad. I'm not trying to say he's a poor fielder. I'm just trying to say that there is not necessarily enough of an upgrade in bowling. You're essentially like for like with batting, and fielding probably slips a little bit if he's in the side. And this sounds like I'm hammering him. I'm really not trying to hammer him. And he's somebody else who I really like personally. But it would be difficult for me to displace one of my lower middle order to put him in for those reasons.
I just think about it more simply and possibly more classically, which is like, I'm not going to India without a leggy.
Okay.
I got to pack one in my suitcase, right? Like,
say more about that.
Right?
But by the way, Aaron Jones also bowls leg spin. So if you just need to have a leggy, Aaron Jones at number 4.
Allegedly. Brian, don't make me bring up his stats.
I knew this was coming.
Yeah. It's
well, you just saw, Z just said, if I'm going to India, I need a leggy. Well, you want somebody to bowl back in the arm, there he is right there. And Peter, no, you don't get to pull up your stats.
I mean, you watch IPL, you just watch, like I've been watching South Asian cricket for my whole life, right? And you gotta have a leggy, right? And look, I think Yasser needs a few years, right?
Yep.
And more experience under his belt. Like, he's confident. You might have seen the interview I did with Dheeraj Malhotra in the offseason. He's like, he's great. He's good. We're going to back him. We're going to see good things from him in the future, right? Might not be this year. So the Freedom are going to continue to back him from what I can tell, right? He's going to develop. Same thing with Adam Khan. I think these kids need a few years, right? But I think Mohsin's fully baked. He's there, right? I do think his bat can be pretty destructive, right? Like, I think of him as a batter, right? And a batter who can get going fast. So I think we are a better squad for having a leggy in it in those conditions. Yeah, the World Cup were in England, maybe we'd be having a different conversation, right? But
I think.
Okay, question for you, since you brought up having to have a leggy and Mohammed Mohsin is who you want to use. I've seen Mohammed Mohsin open the batting.
Yeah,
we talked about not having a left-hander at the top of the order, and again, I would really I tried to put Stephen Taylor in, but 21 runs in the entirety of the major league, I couldn't look past that. But what would you think about using Mohammed Mohsin like you do a left arm or left-handed opening batter along with Andreas and say, you know what, go up there and have fun?
Here's what I would do. Nate, you want to go ahead? Because I have a very specific answer.
I think you can make the same argument in that case. If you're going to make that argument for him, I think you could make the same argument for Harmeet Singh.
Harmeet, I was going to say the same thing. No, you know what I would do? The way I would play it is you just see who our opposition is and how the game's going, right? Because depending on who they got, what we got, like, you can always move them up, right? Like, someone gets out early, Monat gets out under, so you can also always be like, okay, Harmeet, you're in, right? Or because I think these guys can do it. I know Harmeet can bat high if we put him there. Like, he can come in at 4. Same thing with Mohsin. So I think we just need to be flexible and nimble in those situations. And if we have a Harmeet and a Mohsin in the squad, we do have 2 left-hand bats. It's a great point, right? Like, I don't think of Mohsin as an opener, but like you said, you've seen him open. He can do. These guys have played different leagues their whole lives. Everyone's been a captain and an opener and a spinner and a pacer and a freaking everything, right? Like, they can all do it all.
So on that thought, Nate, you probably remember this. And you might have to fill me in the details. I'm pretty sure you and Aaman were calling this game. So was it 3 seasons ago when Harmeet was playing for, who was that, Seattle?
Seattle, yeah.
And they needed, I forget the equation, but they needed like 50 runs in 2 overs. Things silly. And he went out and just threw his bat and they got it. So he does have that capability.
It wasn't just one game. They were competing to just get into the playoffs. And they had to get into the playoffs. And it looked like their only way forward was to win out and then also make up net run rate. And so what they did was they boosted Harmeet up to open for I think 3 games. Was it Aaman? And Harmeet had struck it like 240 or something for 3 games to get them to that point. They actually, it went right down to the last game. It went right down to the end. I think they had to chase a total. They had to chase a whatever target was. I think they had to do it in something like 11 overs or some obscene amount, and he did it, and they made the playoffs, and then they won the championship that year. That was a season. That was a team that also had Shadley Bunch-Skalkbeck, and also Shabam Ranjani was on that team as well, and Harmeet Singh was on that team. So that is a loaded squad.
And Andres,
Andres Host was in that team too. It was an incredible team.
That's a crazy team.
It was absolutely, and they had Fani Samhadri on that squad. Yeah,
Gun was there.
Yeah.
Akhilesh.
Look,
Yeah.
The other thing about Harmeet is like I've always voted him most likely to bowl a maiden whenever we need one, right? So like when we're trying to slow down the opposition that are like, you know, the run rate's going too high, whatever, like throw him in there. Like for me, Harmeet's in the squad, no question. And as a left-handed bat, I think he can attack. And yeah, so we've got, this is what I like about, look, I don't love my squad because I feel like I could make it 10 times better, like somehow. But we, at least between Harmeet and Mohsin, we have 2 real left-handed bats in there, right? And we can move them up and down the order because there are clearly games where we need that. Like we want to be able to, I dream of having a left-hand, right-hand combination, like wherever we can, right? Where it makes sense. And we don't have enough of that, but we've got these 2 bats. So
I want to see a high school yearbook going forward that has senior superlatives most likely to bowl a maiden over.
There you go. That's my and I'll have like Harmeet and me as like the prom dates or whatever, right? Like it's like, so that's the look. I gotta say, man,
Cool words, Aaron.
what's it? There's one song I don't want to go back again or forget some indie pop song. Like I don't ever want to feel the way I did in the
That's a song lyric that's been heard over and over.
Yeah, last summer where Peter and I were freaking down in Barbados. And the South Africa game was great, right? But like the annihilation we had at the hands of freaking West Indies and England.
You said Harmeet Singh most likely to bowl a maiden over. My memory of Harmeet Singh is him getting hit for 5 6s by Joss Bowler.
That's true. That was gonna, but that's Joss.
Why would you bring that up? I was there, man. It was my birthday, and then England did that to me. All right, I turned 21 to a 10-wicket thrash. It was brilliant.
I will. Again, so no, good point. That was Joss was just having the freaking game of his life. It was like he was breaking windows. He was like, that was just insane. But look, I still keep coming back to in the World Cup in 2024, we played five full member nations and we were 1-4, right? Mm-hmm. And India, we were close-ish. That's fine. South Africa, we were close-ish, and then we had 2 slaughterings, right? And so for me, if I'm putting this team together, I'm like, how do we beat full members? And I think you need bats, and I think our bowling is not far from there where we need to. I think we need bats. It's where we fell short.
Well, I think we've talked about this a good amount. I think I'm kind of convinced that I want to have a ball breaking away from a left-handed batter. We've talked about the fact we don't have any left-handed batters. Other teams will, and so I'm kind of convinced there on including a right arm off break batter.
Right, so you want Millen in?
Millen, come on.
I think. Do you guys think Millen's bowling's good enough to put him in the 11 though?
Not just that, but his fielding. We haven't talked about his fielding.
Oh,
he's a
throwing
fielder.
Incredible. Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Yeah, against Pakistan, that was ridiculous. So Nate, you and I have more or less the same thing. Who would you take at the same team? I mean, really. You and I have Calvin and Harmeet swapped out. So I already have Harmeet in the squad of another. So how would you get Millen in there?
I don't know. I would have to choose.
You'd probably have to.
I would
swap him out for Shubham.
And that's where I was, Nate. I was in that same boat of where I wanted to go my 11, but being down in the subcontinent, I just wanted the option to move it away. And
Yeah, I
that's
get
where
that.
I ended up putting Millen in for Shubham. But I could see it through like Millen doesn't succeed the first couple games in the tournament. Maybe the off-spin isn't working. You trust the arm balls or the googlies enough, and you bring in
Yeah.
Shubham because he's the better bat.
I think either Shubham or Calvin has to go into the bench. In this, if I'm going to put Millen in the team, and I'm going to leave that up to Pubadu. But I do kind of agree. I think I do agree with this. Now, my problem is someone from the bench is going to have to drop out now, and this is where I'm looking at probably Obus just because of the spoils that we have at that role somehow.
And Obus on that point, I didn't mention him. He was somebody, again, I had, like, before we started recording, I said, like, I have, like, 19 or 20 guys who are, like, on, to your point, Nate, picking 16 and 17 was, like, the hardest thing for me. It wasn't picking the 11 or picking the 12 through 15. It was, who would be the last guy out, or who would you take as a traveling reserve? I had Ali Sheikh as, like, batting options, batting all-rounder. I had Ali Sheikh, I had Shine Jahangir, and I had Obus. And for me, my argument against Obus, again, if I do head-to-head comparisons, as a finisher, I felt Shubham was a better head-to-head finisher. If you stacked them up head-to-head, Shubham, I thought, was better in that role in MLC this year and over the last couple of years in domestic circuit. Obus has been incredible. I just think Shubham in certain situations has risen to the challenge on a more impressive platform. And then Hassan Khan, if you put head-to-head Hassan Khan against Obus as a finisher, I couldn't find a way to put Obus into the starting 11, and if I couldn't find a way to put Obus into the 11 in the 6th or 7th role, I didn't see a way. If I'm looking for backup options on the bench, I thought I want that all-rounder, that pace bowling all-rounder in Chadley. I wanted a pace bowling option in Rushel. I wanted a pure spin option in Ash. And then if I want one pure bat, I took Aaron Jones as a guy who's got match-winning capabilities. He doesn't have the versatility, like you said, Nate, as Cheyenne or somebody else, perhaps. But I just thought I put greater emphasis on Aaron Jones' pedigree as a match winner above Obus' overall body of work, and then Ali Sheikh I put in there because of what we talked about. I think Ali Sheikh's the best fielder in America. There's so many different criteria. You're splitting hairs here, but like, to me, it was a case of like, if I want Ali Sheikh in there as a reserve because I want him, even if he's not in 11, I want him fielding. He's got he could change the game just by being a sub fielder for 3 or 4 overs. Obus won't do that to the same degree as Ali Sheikh will. And not to say that Obus is a bad fielder. Obus is a great fielder, but Ali Sheikh is just like at a different level. And then Ali Sheikh, the other things we talked about, he's left-handed. We talked about the dearth of left-handed batting options in the country. And I feel like if I put Obus in there, again, it's too much like for like as a right-handed bat who is not quite at the same level as some of the other guys I would put over him in the starting 11. And I just feel like in terms of covering your bases, whether it's fielding, left-handed batting option, having a reserve spinner, whatever, those were my arguments against Obus. If Obus, and now we haven't talked about this, and it's a subtle thing, it's a psychological thing. Me and Aaman talked about it during the season, but like what happened in that match when Glenn Maxwell scored his century, that's like a subtle psychological thing where, Maxwell was turning down singles and Obus wasn't getting on strike.
Oh god.
And that's
crazy.
That doesn't send a positive message. That wasn't happening to other guys. And for me, Obus did some things very well. He had some after that, he had some tremendous finishing performances, but I felt like for like, if you look at, say, for example, the 5-over match and Shubham Ranjani coming out with Donovan Ferreira and what they did in that 5-over match in Florida.
Oh god.
That was,
oh my gosh.
You put that in there.
Yeah.
And you put that head to head with what Obus did in his finishing opportunities. what Shubham did was so far and above anybody else.
Yeah.
Let me ask you both a question, Peter and Nate, because like I did, you had Shubham in your starting 11, right? Aaman and Brian didn't. In a World Cup match, say even especially against a full member nation, because I go back, that's what most of our matches are going to be. Would you throw him the ball for an over or two?
Shubham?
In theory, you could. I wouldn't. Only because
Not with Ian Holland.
you've got that's my issue. You've got 7 or 8 guys who could bowl, and I would. Ian Holland, you've got Sorab, Ali, Ian Holland, Harmeet, Hassan Khan, Milland, Sanjay Krishnamurti can bowl. We haven't talked about Sanjay's bowling. Sanjay can bowl left arm spin if you wanted to.
Yeah.
In a team where you've got 8 bowling options already, I wouldn't feel like that's
we bowl deep. So that's the like Shubham I think of as an all-rounder, but in this context I thought of as like a bat, right?
I'll tell you, for me, one of the reasons I could excuse myself for not going with a third spinner here was Ian Holland's, because I think the role that he could bowl would replace kind of spinning overs. I just think Ian Holland's getting 4 overs every game in my team.
I want to come to the defense of Obis Pinar. I'm the only one with him in the 11th, and
you were chopping in the bit there. I knew you were.
I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, so and again, I think everything you said is right. I think the 5-0 performance from Shubham Ranjane was brilliant, and I think he was absolutely brilliant all year long. And if you say I want Shubham over Obis, I'm not going to tell you no. Here's why I have Obis in batting at number 6, because I've seen him do it in a multitude of ways. If you need a guy to sit there and build you an innings, he can do it. If you need a guy to come in there and hit 33 off 12, he'll go and do that. If you need a guy to support a final, a partnership at the end of the innings to win the game, he can do that. His head is screwed on so straight to where he's in there with every night rider around the pitch with 2 to go get from 2 balls. And he says, yeah, I'm not going to try to hit a boundary. I'm getting a single here because that ensures us 1 off 1. And that ensures us a better opportunity to win the game. He's very calculative. And then the one thing he brings, and I don't think anyone else in any one of our squads bring, is a difference from a height perspective as a 6'4" batter. This is a guy who is almost impossible to bowl to, because when you go full, he can reach anywhere you want. It's similar to bowling to Dre Rush. He can reach anywhere you want, or Kyron Pollard. And if you go short, you've really got to cram one in there. He's tremendous on his crease. And then what he does outside of the States, he's golden played in India, and he's bowled in India, and his ball turns a lot, and his arm ball is brilliant. It's pitched outside off and come back to hit leg stump. So I almost feel more comfortable. Like, hey, I need an over. Do I go to Shubham Ranjane or Obis Pinar? I feel more comfortable down there to give it to Obis Pinar. But with the pure bat, he's a different flavor of a batter. He's done nothing but come in clutch situations and deliver. I know in the final, he 10 from 2, didn't get it done. So be it. And again, if you want to say Shubham Ranjane should get an over him, I think that's fine. But I think Obis Pinar is a flavor of bat we don't have at all across any of the names we've mentioned. And he is someone who consistently makes the right decisions to win games. You talk about match winners. He's, to me, the ultimate match winner.
I think Aaman and I had the benefit of watching him a lot at Church Street Park. And every time he batted, it was a difficult spot. And he always came through so many times for the local team here. Like he took it down to how many times, Aaman, did we see? There was one game in particular where he was just coming out of the tail end of COVID, where he was exhausted. He had COVID. He was exhausted, and he started the innings off. He was battling. He was struggling. He was going about to run a ball, and then about 5 overs left or so, Aaman, they needed like 14 and over to win or something, and he got it done. And you just felt like he would too. You felt like he just put the team on his back, and he just absolutely obliterated it. I've seen him do this so many times. And I love his attitude, and we've seen him practicing at Church Street Park. We've seen him blasting it over the entire parking lot. Like the guy, before this season, now I don't have him in my 11, but before this season, before Shubham Ranjane's incredible season, I definitely would have had Obis in that spot for sure.
Yeah, look, Obis, the other thing I'll say about Obis, and look, I had him in my 17, right? I had him using my traveling reserves, and it was, look, it was either him or Calvin for the 12th spot, and if it didn't make sense for the 12th, I have him in the 16th, right? And again, it was really Shubham who bumped them bumped them both out. But I couldn't make case for any of them. One thing I love about Obus is he really has such a dialed in sense of what role he's playing, for the team, and what once he comes on to bat, he knows exactly what he needs to do, right? Like to help the team win. Doesn't mean hit the winning shot. It means like I know what I'm supposed to do now, right? And I just you just feel confident when he comes in that he's gonna, it doesn't always work out. Cricket is cricket. You just get out on a duck. Who knows, right? That happens. But that was, that game. What was that Freedom game where he hit the 30 off?
Yeah, it was with Lahiru. It was, I think
it was him
last year at Grand Prix.
No, this year. No, this year.
This year he had a 30 off 12.
Yeah.
30 off 12.
Yeah.
I forget who it was against, but it was an important game, right? It might have been one of their last. And I feel like it was a GP, right?
Yes, it
It was a GP. But look, they only played one game of GP in the playoffs, right? Because they had the rain out, and then they went straight to the final. So, and it wasn't the final. So it was in that first GP leg.
Yeah, it was against Unicorns, 30 off 12, 39 off 12.
Yeah, right. But he came in. He was like, I know. He knew what he needed to do, right? And then when I interviewed him before the final, right, for MLC Talk, he said just that. He was like, look, I'm playing a very specific role for this team, right? And he didn't say that in a bad way, right? But he was like, I know my role for this team, right? I'm going to do what they're going to ask me to do. But we know that he's capable of so much more. I will confess, I haven't seen him. I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm just saying like Brian was saying for a couple of days, I haven't seen Ian in person, right? So I haven't seen Obus bowling in person, right? But I just haven't. And I don't know that the Royals use him, though. I don't know how I feel about how the Royals use him in as a bowler, right? But the Freedom definitely don't, because I guess they don't need to. So I've never seen him. If he's really a real bowling option, that makes him very interesting.
Yeah, he's not Hassan Khan. He's not Sanjay Krishnamurti. But if you need one over, he's the guy. In 1 to 2 overs, he'll give you that option. So
when did he bowl in India? You said he bowled it.
He played the Legends League, so it's a legend.
Oh, that's right,
So,
Legends. I remember.
All the number of wickets he took is what I'm looking at, or
Yeah.
But you watch the way he bowled in India and the things he was able to get the ball to do off the wicket. That's replicable, and that's what I'm almost referring to. I don't really care the number of wickets he took in Legends, because it's Legends cricket, right? We are playing against guys who are practicing every day in whatever now in the World Cup. But seeing what he could extract on a subcontinental surface, I think there are things that you can gain from that, and I think he can replicate that on a bigger stage.
There's one guy we haven't talked about. Two guys I want to mention quick here. When I was looking at leg spinners, I had to scan through the records to see when he last played for West Indies. Hayden Walsh Jr., if he became eligible again for USA, he was the impact that he had, not just as a leg spinner, but left-handed bat too, left-handed bat, and in the field, he was USA's best fielder. And then along a similar vein, in that same kind of era, Kareem Agor. None of us has mentioned him.
I was looking at Kareem. I was looking at Kareem.
So none of us had him, obviously, but we were looking at him, we were thinking about him. What does he need to do to move more closer to break into our theoretical 17, 15, 11?
So he needs to become a right arm off break bowler.
Or does he need to put a couple banana peels and some other mousetraps near Harmeet Singh and Hassan Khan? What do we do for Kareem?
It really I think he's probably just as good as bowler as Harmeet is. I think he can be that effective. I think the problem for Karima comes in his bat, while it is decent enough domestically, it's not Hassan Khan's. It's not really Harmeet Singh's. And so now you've basically taken yourself out of that conversation, and now you're in conversation with Nash Kinjige as the third left arm orthodox, right? Now you can make that argument, but Nash hasn't played himself out. So I don't know what specifically Karima can do, and that's not a fault on him. I think
Guys,
the three
what-
left armors are there.
Would anybody use him as like in a similar way that like me and Brian have, or at least I have Ali Sheikh in terms of you pick him in the squad purely Kareem McCord just as a sub fielder. You say, all right, if somebody goes off the field, get him on as a sub fielder.
I could see it. Look, we could make a team that goes like this: 3 batters, 2 fast bowlers, everybody else left arm orthodox all rounders. We could make a really good team this way. Like, honest to God, this could be our USA squad. This could, like, legitimately, the amount of left arm. We didn't talk about Karthik Gottabali, but you know, we could go on and on about left arm spinners.
Not 2030 World Cup or 2028 World Cup. There's a case for Karthik. Totally. So
I love the idea of Hayden Walsh coming back.
2028, Aiden Walsh.
But wouldn't he have to wait again? Wouldn't he have to wait again 3 years?
That would be 3 years. So his last match for the West Indies was 2024, October 2020. So he'd have to wait 3 years. So he'd be eligible for 2028.
He might be Olympic eligible. Hey, I'm all
That's
for
true. Yeah, get him in the Olympic team, Nate.
I'm all for Hayden Walsh Jr. Man, I love the guy. I'm all for him. He's talk about a match winner. How many times has he won games for the USA?
Oh, well, that's why I want him in as a leg spinner. He ticks all the boxes. There you go. 2028 Olympics. Come on, Hayden. You know you want to.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, everyone, let me throw this out. Everyone's picked their own teams, right? I keep harping on what the 2026 World Cup is going to look like, right? How far do you think your team gets?
I think it
Depends on
the group, right? You don't know who's in your group. And
You're going to have 3 full members and 1 other associate.
To me, the most important thing is who is your kind of third full member, if you will. Like it was Ion last time.
Yeah.
And so if you look at the rankings this time around, let's just pull them up now. So
Good question.
the current rankings, you've got, if you do a snake order, men's T20 team rankings. Yeah.
Watch this.
So if you do a snake order, you would have New Zealand, South Africa, and Afghanistan in a group. You wouldn't want to be in that group.
Nope.
You would have India, Pakistan are well, we don't know if they're going to be in the same group.
they will not be.
Yeah, although now there's talking. Look, the BCCI came out the other day and said we're not going to do bilaterals with Pakistan, but we'll play them in international tournaments. Right? The moment they said that, you know that they're going to be the same group, right?
So, all right, if India, Pakistan, and then you're going to get potentially, one of Bangladesh, Ireland, Zimbabwe. If I
have a question.
If you look at it.
Is Zimbabwe an automatic qualifier? I don't think they're an automatic qualifier. Did they get out of Africa? They have to go.
The African qualifier hasn't happened yet, so they got to go through the African qualifier.
So there's 9 spots up for grabs that could be all associates. There's not 12 members in the World Cup. I just want.
If you look at the snake order, you could have a group of Australia, Sri Lanka, and then one of Ion, Bangladesh, Zimbabwe, and then you could also have a group of England, West Indies, and then one of the bottom 4. If I had to pick a group, I don't want to face Sri Lanka in home conditions.
Correct.
You'd almost say the England, if you get drawn with England, West Indies overseas, I think would be different than West Indies, than that USA played in Barbados.
Don't get that, guys.
How many guys have just dropped out or retired or it's got to be a different look squad.
There's going to be more. And Darren Sammy's warned, right? He's like, there's going to be more of this.
So, I mean, I would almost want to, if I think USA's best shot would be if they get England, West Indies, and then one of
Australia would be in that group, I reckon. If England's in the group.
Well, Australia's ranked 2nd right now, so you couldn't have if you do a snake draw. England and Australia wouldn't be together unless you're using on the principle of England and Australia have to be together, like India and Pakistan have to be together.
Which kind of seems to happen a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but to me, the most important thing is which of the bottom 4 quote unquote full members you don't want to come up against Afghanistan. USA's shown they can beat Bangladesh. USA's shown they can beat Ireland. For whatever reason, historically, even though on paper you think Zimbabwe's weak, USA has gotten hammered every time they've come up against Zimbabwe. So,
yeah, but I like our chances this time, right?
I would just from a comfort level, that USA has beaten Ireland before. They did that in Florida.
Yep.
And they beat Bangladesh and Texas. I would, if USA is going to get out of the group, they've got to get drawn with one of those. If the worst thing that could happen is they get drawn with Afghanistan. I don't think they would have a prayer in hell against Afghanistan. And it's a case of that 5 through 8 full member. Can they do what they did against Pakistan? That's how I'm looking at it. And then the other part, which associate would they get drawn with?
Yep.
If they get drawn with Canada, they'll win. If they get drawn with Scotland or Nepal, that could be challenging,
though, can they?
No, well, again,
Italy,
fake news Della Penna here.
I've never seen the U.S. play Italy, so I don't know what that looks like.
Well, but they don't have a good record against Italy. Now, it's been a while, but you go back to the qualifier in 2013 in Abu Dhabi.
Yep.
Italy won that game.
They did.
Even though Stephen Taylor scored 90 opening the batting, and USA still lost that game. Carl Sanju put on an incredible. Carl Sanju took 4 wickets, and then he bashed like 46 off 20 balls, something crazy like that.
I'll take Italy right now, right? I'm happy to face Italy, right?
But
sure, not with Joe Burns the way that team.
Well, and it's not just the squad that Italy used in the European qualifier. It's now that they've qualified, you can bet more guys are going to come out of the woodwork with their passport to try and squeeze into the World Cup.
True.
Like who? Who could they like?
Probably some Australian players. Probably
there is no shortage of options in passport holders, whether out of England, Australia, South Africa. There will be guys. Hey, I could put my name in there. Don't hold me back.
Della Penna sounds Italian enough.
Don't you laugh, Brian.
Yeah.
I think, guys, one thing is our T20 team right now, I don't think is as good as our ODI team. Personally, that's how I feel. And when we look at these teams that we've made, the 5 that we've made, every one of us has put at least 4 in the 15, at least 4 new faces. And I'm counting Ian Holland as a new face because it's been so long since he's been in the team.
Yep.
But 4 new faces into the team, some of us as many as 7 out of these 15. And I think that goes to show that we think that there needs to be some changes in the USA T20 squad if we're going to really make an impact.
Anybody want to comment on Vice Captain Jesse Singh not being in any of our squads?
Major League was a tough look for him. I don't think he bowled badly in Major League, to be honest with you. He wasn't great. But I think Ian Holland probably was, outside of Rushil Agarkar, the guy, the tournament that turned the most heads, because you sat there and saw him be underutilized, and you sit there and say, if he bowls, they win. And like that was a direct conclusion that a lot of people drew, not just fans of Ian Holland, where you didn't feel that way with Jesse Singh. And then, unfortunately for him, Rushil Agarkar literally bowls and directly leads to a championship for MI New York. So I think he's probably taken a bit of a backseat because of those two just turning as many heads as they did. It's a tough spot to be.
Tough. It's definitely tough. I mean, like you said, and he's not getting the ball to me in my 11 in the power play either.
I think.
And then go ahead, Brian. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, just for the fact that you're in the subcontinent, you're probably looking for somebody to be able to have a greater skill set with the ball. If you're bowling seam, you're looking for somebody like a Shad Levenskog who can bowl really accurate slow balls, can disguise the deliveries. He's a very good bowler on tracks that support pace bowling. I don't know that he would be in my top 3 or 4 pacers to take on
Ian
to the subcontinent. And so that'd be the main reason why.
This is Jesse or Ian?
You're talking about Jesse right now.
No, Jesse. I'm talking about Jesse.
Yeah, I agree. But look at this. I was looking at these stats the other day, right? Like Ian Holland, he had 11 wickets, right? I think Shadley was the top domestic wicket taker, but he had a lot more overs, right? If you look at average, Ian was 7th overall. Karima Gore was 9th, right? But like no other, the next closest domestic bowler was like where Rushiel, right? I mean, like Ian's average was pretty ridiculous, especially for the number of, and he was underutilized anyway, right? And his economy was up there too, right? If you look at economy, like he just had, okay, so Tajinder obviously, but he didn't bowl that much. But if you look at an Amila, same, what, 4 overs. Harmeet, I talked about his average, right? Like Harmeet's very stingy, right? Good for him. And then there's Ian, 732. Like Ian had just a ridiculous MLC campaign, right? Again, it's like, how do you, I look at him, I'm like, how do you not take this guy, right? And I'm almost like Nate, right? He's like, he's not a spinner, but he can accomplish a lot of the same things. He's such a freaking gem. And I'm hopeful that he finds his way into the team because I think he's going to do good things for us. You also can't, the other thing, especially talking to Andres, right, after the World Cup, you can't underestimate the importance of like knowing the opposition really well, right? And Andres was like, I freaking know all these guys, right? When he was talking about the match against South Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he had like the ridiculous knock. He opened and he was there at the end, right? Undefeated. 80, right? Was it 80 something in the 80 something, right? I think it was 80. And he was like, I just know all of them, right? I know everyone. I know KG. I know all these African take down that bowling attack. Like it's the one that I know really well, right? If we end up playing England, right? You know that Ian knows a lot of these guys, right? And a lot of their game. And he'll know how to bowl to a lot of them, right? And that is, and like how many England's star batters do our guys know how to bowl to, right? Besides Ian. And I think that sort of experience and knowledge is priceless. I mean, the same goes for the guys who play in Australia, right? Like that Brody knows how to. If we ever find out ourselves facing Australia, Brody will know how to take him on, right? Cam will know how to like these guys know that scene really well, and in at this level of competition, I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah. So what do you think, guys? You think that's good? You think we got it all kind of summarized for an episode here?
I think for me, the takeaway is that, and let's just assume for a second that the team or the traveling party comes out of these names that we have here. The idea is that you have to have a methodical approach, a facts-based approach, an objective approach toward selecting a side as compared to, without getting too much into the details, you don't get the sense that it has always been like that. And you would like to think that whoever the actual selectors are who sit down and do this, we've been talking about this now for a couple of hours, and it feels like we've just scratched the surface. And it feels like we could probably go for another few hours. My computer turns into a pumpkin in the next 10 minutes. But I'd like to think that when it gets to the point that we're preparing the squad to go to the World Cup, that there is an objective analysis, a fact-based analysis, an analysis that takes into consideration what are the conditions going to be like, what are the proclivities of each player, what are the pluses and minuses of having these players in the side. I want it to be something that is that detailed and that analytical as compared to because I like that guy.
Yeah. Also, we forgot to mention which academies all these guys are associated with.
And Brian,
It really undercuts everything I just.
we haven't. Can never underestimate the importance, Brian, of being on the nominating and governance committee in terms of what it means for your World Cup selection.
Guys, I was just going to say Brian hit this perfectly on the head, and that's the way we need to close the episode with that final statement because I don't think anyone's saying it better or more majestically than Brian Walters just